Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, I want to try to help you guys prevent making some of the most common Insta360 X4 beginner mistakes that I see everybody make. I've been writing books and making videos about action cameras since they first began, so I've heard every excuse in the book about what's gone wrong. In this video, I'm going to share some of the most common Insta360 X4 beginner mistakes so that I can prevent you from making those mistakes too. So let's take a look at some of the most common mistakes that everybody makes. The first mistake is not getting the camera out of the box. And this actually happens quite a lot when I ask people how they like their X4. Like, oh, well, I haven't had time yet to open it. Okay, well, if you're one of those people, it's okay, but go ahead and open up the box, get the camera out, charge the camera battery, and put a micro SD card in it. Even if you don't have time to watch the rest of this video or my beginner's guide for the X4, at least get the camera set up and it gives you the potential to actually start playing around with it. And then when you have some time, you'll be a little less intimidated. You can go watch my videos, grab my book, whatever you need to get started with it. But at least that camera's ready to go and you'll be one step closer to capturing some amazing content. So if you haven't opened the box yet, push pause on this video and go open the box because that's really the first thing you need to do. The next mistake that you don't want to make is using an incompatible micro SD card. The X4 requires a micro SD card to store your camera's videos and photos. And if you use the wrong one, it can actually cause problems with your camera. You'll get some errors on the screen. So don't just go ahead and grab any old micro SD card. Make sure you're using one that's compatible with the X4 and you're gonna have a lot better results. The camera's gonna work better and you won't have any problems when you're out there filming. If you don't have a micro SD card yet, I'll put some links in the video description below so you can pick one up. But just make sure to use that correct micro SD card. Since you're probably just in the beginner stages of using your X4, another mistake that a lot of beginners make is not purchasing the Insta360 FlexiCare within 15 days of activating your camera. FlexiCare allows you to replace your camera up to twice for a low cost. So if you do damage this camera, which is possible because these lenses are very fragile, FlexiCare will allow you to replace that camera twice. And you can only purchase it within 15 days of activating your camera. So if you haven't passed that margin yet and you haven't purchased FlexiCare, I recommend that you do it. It's just a good way to protect your camera and make sure you're always having a camera that's functioning properly. The next common X4 mistake that I want to show you before we go any further is not protecting these lenses. So the two lenses here on the X4 can be damaged really easily. You need to always protect those lenses. When you're setting up your camera, don't set them down on the lenses. And when you can, put it in this protective case so that you can keep your camera nice and safe. These lens guards can be taken on and off to temporarily protect your lenses. So I recommend using them some of the time, but most of the time, just try to protect your lenses so you can get the best image quality. I do have a video showing the positives and the negatives of using those lens guards if you want to check it out. I don't use them most of the time, but they are one way to protect your lenses if you're going to be out there and your camera might drop. And like I mentioned, if you get that FlexiCare, you can replace your camera up to 2 times for a small fee if you do accidentally scratch those lenses. The next Insta360 X4 beginner mistake that I want to make sure you guys don't make is not cleaning these lenses. It's really important to keep both of these lenses super clean because any dust or spots are going to show up in your image. So make sure before you film, you always keep these lenses super clean by buffing them off with a nice microfiber cloth and don't scratch them. Make sure there's no dust or grease on them, and it's going to help you capture the clearest images possible. The next mistake you don't want to make with your X4 is not having enough battery. When you're out there filming and something exciting happens, you want to make sure that you have enough battery to capture that. So make sure before you go out, every time you charge that camera battery, and bring a spare if you can, because then you can just swap it out if that battery goes dead, or if something happens and you accidentally forgot to charge it, you can just swap it out with the other one, and at least you have some battery so you can record what you want to record. The next X4 beginner mistake is not using the resources that I've made for you guys to learn how to use the camera. I have tons of great resources for you, such as my YouTube channel, which you're watching right now, but I also have more great videos on the X4 here on my YouTube channel. I've also got a book for the X4, which has everything, and then I know some of you guys like to have that nice resource in your hands when you're out there filming or at home. You just want to be able to browse through an actual physical book. So I've created that for you guys. So be sure to take advantage of those. I really like teaching you guys how to use your camera so you can get the best of it and have a great filming experience. The next mistake that you don't want to make is not using an invisible selfie stick like this one with your X4. The invisible selfie stick disappears from your shots, which is one of the magical things about using a 360 camera like the X4. It's going to disappear from your shots and allow you to film shots where it looks like the camera's floating away from you. It's also going to create a perspective like the camera is really far away from you because of the super wide angle lenses on the X4. So make sure you get a selfie stick for the X4. The next mistake that I don't want you guys to make is accidentally not pressing the record button. It's really easy to be out there and be excited and forget to press the record button, or even if you do think you press it, not to check to make sure your camera is recording. So if there's something that you really want to make sure you're filming, always check the screen, make sure that the camera is recording so you make sure you don't miss that shot. There's nothing worse than thinking you filmed something awesome, going to check it and realizing that you weren't pressing record and you didn't capture it. Another mistake you don't want to make, because it's really important for the safety of your camera, is anytime you remove the battery, make sure when you put it back in that the battery compartment is completely closed. You shouldn't see any red like that. That means that your camera is not sealed. If you take it in the water, water will leak in and ruin your camera. So make sure that battery is closed completely and you don't see red on either of these tabs. Another mistake is not changing the settings on the X4. There are a lot of settings available on the X4. There's tons of great modes to use. So if you're filming fast action or low light, you're going to be using different settings. In 360 video mode, 5.7K at 60 frames per second is a good starting point for all of your normal daylight shots. And then you can change it from there. If you don't know how to use those settings yet, you can watch my beginner's guide for the X4, or in my book, of course, I talk about all the different settings you can use and all those different modes you can use to capture unique shots with the X4. But be sure to change those settings depending on your scene, because one setting is not going to be great for every single scene. Another mistake you don't want to make is to try really hard to get some great underwater shots but not use the invisible dive case. The invisible dive case will allow you to get clear shots and get that invisible selfie stick effect when you're underwater. And if you try to film underwater without it, even though the camera is waterproof, it's not going to get clear shots. So use the invisible dive case anytime you want to film underwater. So if you haven't purchased it and you're really into diving, make sure you pick up that invisible dive case for the X4. Another thing to remember is that if you're recording in 360 modes, the X4 records a full 360 sphere. So even if you're recording something that's in front of you and you're really focused on your filming, you want to smile just in case you want to reframe that shot and you end up being in it, because you never really know which of those perspectives is going to look the best. And the last X4 beginner mistake that I want to tell you guys is not buying a 360 camera at all. The X4 is an amazing filming tool that creates some amazing perspectives, especially with that invisible selfie stick effect. So if you're thinking about it and you're just hesitating, I recommend just going for it, because it's going to capture some perspectives that are really not possible with any other camera. If you guys need any help with your X4, be sure to check out my videos and pick up the book for the X4. It's really useful and it'll help you guys a lot when you're learning to use this camera. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that I helped you avoid some of those mistakes, and I'll see you guys in the next video.